I was watching the Republican debates and they're sitting here trying to make me cry for people in Ukraine. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Have you looked around America yet? Do you really think that this is what the people at home are going to respond to, perpetually telling them that they have to care about another nation more than their own backyards, that they should be caring more about what's happening in Ukraine, and Chris Christie trying to pitch it, and Pence trying to pitch it, and Nikki Haley, we need to be the police officers of the world when we can't even police her. We can do both. No, we obviously can't. Like, have you walked down the streets of Los Angeles? Have you walked down New York? We clearly obviously can't do both, right? And so having, I think, that the courage to stand on something that doesn't feel establishment popular or mainstream media popular, but that you understand is what people are actually feeling. And, I'm very much a person that from the very beginning has said, F Ukraine, I stand on that. And I would have said it if I was on the debate stage. Like, I would have let them all do their little pitch and the cries and the tears, because how this gets into the
why if Ukraine is what I ask. Why?
Because rich men north of Richmond, you know what I mean? Because Richmond north of Richmond, because people literally can't put food on the table. You've stopped people from working in America. The average person is struggling to even be able to afford gas, groceries. You have people that are dealing with an influx of crime and illegal immigration in their cities. People whose daughters and kids are being raped and killed. That woman that was horrifically killed in Arizona going on a run by an illegal immigrant. All of this is happening in our country right here. Because if you told me as a mother that I need to care more about what's happening in the neighbor's house while my kids were suffering in my house, I would look at you and tell you were crazy, obviously. Of course, I'm going to take care of my own house first. And if I have something after my house is in perfect order, right? And then you say to me, hey, they need help. That's just common sense. But if my house is in complete chaos and my kids can't eat and my kids are struggling, how dare you tell me that it's wrong to want to care for my own first? And that's exactly what the American foreign policy is amongst the elites.
But Candace, our house has never been in perfect order, as you know this, in America. So how do you grapple with the fact that when do we get involved? Like, if China,
we shouldn't.
If anything, anywhere, like non-interventionist. So China attacks Taiwan, you're good with it. What kind of foreign policy do you think we should even have? Zero whatsoever in the world?
Everything that we're doing in the world right now is we're suffering from not being able to mind our own business. This idea, post World War II regarding international liberalism, that it was now we must spread our ideas everywhere and everybody must accept them. Maybe people don't want to live like Americans want to live. Have we ever thought of that? Like, maybe people in Iraq and Iran actually are not interested in the way that we live. Maybe people in Saudi Arabia are not interested in the way that Californians live. And by the way, if you're looking at what's going on in California and LA, does it seem like maybe people should be embracing American values and principles at this moment? Like, if you could buy them and purchase them right now as another country, you probably would be wanting to go the other way. Hence Uganda and the laws that they're putting in place trying to keep this LGBTQ agenda that Americans are funding all across the world. Why are we funding that? Why are we funding saying that girls in Pakistan need to learn about transgenderism? This is the foolishness that our tax dollars are going toward. And people, that because international liberalism, these are great ideas. No, actually, these ideas kind of suck, actually.
It's arrogance.
Okay. And it's arrogance. It's not even American arrogance, because the average American doesn't think this way. The average American doesn't think that children in kindergarten need to learn 75,000 genders. We're not impressive academically. Kids are getting systematically dumber in America. We have nothing to show for all of the money that we're spending all around the world. Our country is in full decline. Yeah. So I actually want to be clear. It's not just F Ukraine. It's F everybody until we get our house in order.
So nothing. Yeah. You don't want to be involved. So if China attacks Taiwan and the semiconductor chips we're relying on, and that's going to be gone, and 96% of the products that China manufacturing right now in China were Apple's manufacturing in China, and they go through that mess, it's okay. It affects, you're totally
not
fine.
Not sending our boys to die on foreign soil.
Zero.
No, not one American life should be lost.
So then how do you, so then what would, if a Candace Owens was president today, what would your foreign policies be? What would your approach be with Xi? What would your approach be with Putin? What would your approach be with what's going on in Iran or some of these guys? What would you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, with Putin, obviously the worst thing that we could have possibly done, which is what's happening now, is folded him further into the arms of the East, okay? Putin should be a natural ally with the West. We have been pushing this fake Cold War for way too long, okay? We're not in the 60s anymore, okay? Putin is not trying to rebuild Soviet Union. He doesn't have the money. I mean, it's completely ridiculous to think that Russia is the biggest threat. This is just the mainstream media simulation. It's going to be just like the Soviet Union, whereas we're the ones that are actually pushing further into that territory. I mean, it's complete delusion. We're the ones that is putting NATO on everybody's border and pushing and inching further after we gave promises that we wouldn't do that we would not expand 1 inch eastward. Okay, so we're just not being honest about what it is that's even happening over there. We're not being honest about the corruption and the laundromat that Ukraine is, and the reason why we have such a vested interest in it, Biden's interest in it, Burisma and everything that's going on. This has nothing to do with caring about Ukrainian soldiers. If you actually bought that narrative that they're worried about the Soviet Union expansion, you're absolutely wrong. They want to expand their own power in that region. And so when Trump was in office and he sought to have a meaningful relationship with Putin so that we weren't pushing him into the arms of China, and China is actually a threat to the United States, that was the right policy to have, an actual peace policy, that we should be respecting how people want to run their own countries, right? And also trying to have strategic relationships, strategic partnerships with them. That is what makes sense to me. I believe in national sovereignty. I believe that Russia has the right to run its country the way that it wants to run its country. I believe Iraq, Iran, America, the United Kingdom. I don't want to be, we want to be out. We don't want to be a part of the European Union. All the European Union, these concepts of trying to say, to globalize us and say this is how everybody must think. In America, we can't even decide on how we all want to think. You know what I mean? The Southern principles and values compared to New York City and LA is something that we can't seem to figure this out. Can I give you
perspective? Can I give you perspective? I want to get your perspective on this. So, your Daily Wire. I was just with Ben a couple of days ago, and we had a good time together. But think about a company, for example, that's built on software we rent, which we all do, right? A company's not built on 100% of software that you have, right? When we built an insurance company, we borrowed a company called iPipeline. They are a behemoth of a company, $2.5 billion company. After 10 years of saying no to him, he finally said, let's make it work. I said, let's make it work. And he came and gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. I said, let's roll. Mm-hmm. Then another one and another one. I won't name all of them, but my perspective is to say, guys, moving forward, if you're not one of our, a product that we're not doing internally, that's it. I don't care about them. We're not going to do any business with this. This is it. It's foreign. We're not going to do nothing. But we're relying on that software. The reason why I'm saying this is, we're relying on China. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're relying on China. Yeah. Cars, we're relying on China. This week was the first time we got an iPhone 15 that's going to say "Made in India," which is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It's progress, but it's not made in America, right? Yeah. If we do made in America, this is a $5,000 phone. This is not a $1,300 or now $2,700 phone. So all I'm saying to you is and I get it. I get the fact that we spent $100 billion. White House finally confirms they spent $100 billion on Ukraine, and we sent $700 a family to Maui, which is absolutely pathetic. Yeah. And it's still, it's been a month already, whatever the timeline's been. Yeah, we'll eventually get to it. What do you mean we'll eventually get to it with a couple thousand kids still missing? But that desire to say, nope, that's it, nothing, no foreign policy, no need
But what we're talking about here is we're talking about our involvement in foreign wars. That's not to say that we shouldn't be doing business deals. That's why I said strategic partnerships with people that are overseas.
Well, I get that, but what I'm saying is, he asked the question: if we allow China to attack Taiwan, you're like, nope, we're not doing anything. We're not sending our men over there.
I'm not sending a single American.
So you're okay if we lose all the manufacturing?
I don't think that's not necessarily going to be the conclusion. There's a lot that could happen in between. There's a lot of negotiations that can take place. This is why you have ambassadors that go over there. What I am saying is that if I were president, and I'm not, okay, and obviously I'm sitting here giving you the Owens doctrine off the cuff, but obviously you'd have to sit down, and this is why you build a cabinet, and you have people that are smarter than you in the cabinet talk about these things. You bring in the best business guys to talk about how you get around this. But what I am saying is that I would not be sending a single American son or daughter to die on foreign soil.
So what about money, though? Because I agree with you. We don't need to be involved. Everything that we've done post-World War II has been a freaking disaster. Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, now Ukraine. But we don't necessarily have boots on the ground per se. I know there's allegedly people there, but money or even soft power or influence. You talked about diplomatic relations. There has to be a little nuance. It can't just be like zero, we're done.
I'm fine with diplomatic relations. That's actually what I'm saying, is that we need more diplomatic relations. Is the whole point, and we need to stop strong arming and making these stances and sending billions of dollars, and with no accounting, by the way, and things of that nature. But
I think they missed like a couple billion dollars.
Yeah, like a month ago, 2 months ago, the girl from the Pentagon was like, yeah, we had a mistake and there's $6 billion. We don't know where they're at. Really?
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, Click right here.